My name is Kirk. I am the owner and lead developer for FabDB, and today I have a very special presentation for you on a piece of work I've been working through for the past few months. But before we get onto that, I want to first thank all of our supporters, all our patrons via Patreon for helping to fund FabDB. Without their help and support, FabDB definitely wouldn't be around today. And so this video is partly to demonstrate the work that I've been doing on the premium deck builder, but also to show my love and thanks and gratitude for our supporters for whom this feature has been built specifically for. So before we get onto the premium deck builder, I want to cover quickly the classic builder and sort of where we're going, both in the future with the premium deck builder and what you can expect in the coming months. So the classic deck builder, I think all of you are quite familiar with already. All the various features, things that it provides you, including stuff like exporting decks, adding and removing cards, such as this. Also going to your settings, updating various things such as setting the deck format, deck visibility for when we list decks in the future, as well as card backs if you're a supporter. If you're a supporter, you're able to select custom card backs that you can then use for your export to Tabletop Simulator, which has been very useful and really popular with everyone. So that's the classic deck builder, and it's been great. It's served a great purpose, but it does fall short in a couple of areas. So what I want to do is show you the new deck builder, and we're going to do that with my brute deck at the moment. So the first thing you'll probably notice right off the bat is the fact that this is much more visual than the classic deck builder. What I wanted to achieve with this was something that feels much more tactile and has really good feedback for everyone that's working with their deck. And so all of the usual features you'd expect from the existing deck builder are all here. So I can click to remove cards, all the various cards that I have. I can search for cards. So if we want to add back those battery cards that we've just removed, we can also add them back into the deck. And you'll notice here also that what it does is it's actually grouping the cards, I would say, naturally. So the groupings of cards based on the card's name, such as Breakneck Battery, gets grouped together so that you can see all of the pitch values and costs and all of that sort of thing together. So let's add a few more in here. So let's just search for Brute at the moment. Let's add in our legendary again, the Scabskin Leathers. Let's add in Buckbone Shoving Up. We've already got that one. Alpha Rampage, another Bloodrush Bellow, etc. Okay, so that's all the cards that we've got in there at the moment. And that's what we're going to work with. If we wanted to add more, we absolutely could. One of the cool features I want to show you at the moment is, for different screen sizes and that sort of thing. So I'm currently working on a laptop. As you can see here, it's probably not enough information being shown, but what we can do is actually move to the full screen mode. Full screen mode allows us to look at more cards on the screen at once. It also fixes the display so that, for example, when we're scrolling through the cards, it allows us to work through them. What we'll probably do is add a few more cards, and I'll show you a few other features. So let's go here. Let's own some Bonehead Barriers. You also notice there's a few really cool animations and things for when cards come in and out of existence from your card collection for your deck. So that's all really great. That's really nice. We can also, of course, add generic cards and that sort of thing, would we need to. And all of the validation that you have in place is already there. So that's great. Another thing I want to add is the ability to zoom in and out into your cards. So you can, if you want to better readability, you can zoom in. If you want to see more of your deck at once, you can obviously zoom out as well. There's also some really cool smarts in regards to this. So a little bit of intelligence around what sort of cards and how many you can see at any one time. So if I go to full screen back and forth, it actually changes the zoom value to show more cards or reduce the number of cards that you can actually see. The next is also if I move away from things like search, so there's no more sidebar, I can actually fit more cards in again. So it allows me another zoom level again. So the really cool thing about this is that when I'm working through my cards, I can actually see my entire deck here once it's all been added. So it's a really great way to see at a glance what's in your deck. Another thing I want to show you is the Details tab. The Details tab is what was originally, I think, the Stats tab on the Classic Builder. So all of your metrics are there, along with a bunch of new ones as well. We tried to write an algorithm for offensive and defensive ratings. So this is generally based on how many attacks, how many defensive cards you have in your deck, and it works out that way. There's other things as well, like the average attack value. So the average damage you'll be doing or that you'll be pushing for per attack, as well as how many attacks per hand you might expect every time you draw your hand. So if you're drawing 4 cards, in this deck in particular, I'd expect about 2.3 attacks per hand draw, which is interesting, right? And there's a few other things there, like number of instants, number of attack actions, total actions, all that sort of stuff. And more is coming. So if you have any recommendations on what we can do here, I'd love to hear it. And then of course you also have your settings. So this has been pulled from the classic deck builder with all the settings that you're used to. Now, the last feature I want to show you before we move on is something that's been requested for a while and will be coming to the classic deck builder in the future, but for now it's a premium only feature. And that is, of course, the sideboard. For all of us who are familiar with TCGs, the sideboard is a feature that allows us to push a few cards to the side and then swap them in and out depending on the matchup that we have for the match coming up. So in this particular case, perhaps I'm versing someone and I don't want to include Breakneck Battery as part of my main deck when I'm doing it. So that might be a card that I'm swapping in and out. So it'd be good to actually document that as part of my sideboard. So we'll add some Breakneck Batteries together. Maybe Reckless Swing, for example, isn't useful. Maybe we're versing Wizard or something, and so we're not finding it as useful, or some other character. So let's sideboard those as well. So as you can see, we're now forming 2 collections. The first one on the left is our main deck, and then the one on the right is our sideboard. And we can do this as much as we want. There isn't currently any validation in regards to how many cards you can have in your sideboard. That's something that we're leaving up to the players. And one thing I want to work on in the future is to ensure that when you actually export your deck to TTS, Tabletop Simulator, that it includes a separate deck as part of your sideboard to generate them. So you actually have 2 decks when you spawn into Tabletop Sim, which I think is really cool. So that's everything for today. That's all I want to show you for our premium deck builder. I'd love any feedback or constructive criticism you may have about the feature. Again, thank you very much for our Patreon supporters. If you would like access to this feature, you just need to be a member with us on Patreon. Patreon subscriptions start at just $3 a month and goes up to $9 a month for the legendary support. And again, if you have any questions, just hit me up. Thanks. Bye.